Here's the last scene.
Oh boy, here we go.
Is the worst scene in all of Star Wars.
The entirety
Oh!
of Star Wars. Damn.
Here we go.
Let it all out,
that-
Grizzly.
so-
Just let it all out. This is a
Please,
therapy
please,
session
please
for you.
indulge. Actually, please indulge me. Get really mad. Show me your.
We recorded this episode technically a year ago.
Yeah, we've already recorded this episode.
we recorded this right before we went into the hiatus, like the initial one.
This was the episode actually of why we took the hiatus.
Kinda, yeah.
Oh wait, for real?
Well, a lot of things
Yeah.
happened during the editing phase.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like that was when
You almost said his name.
I did. That was when he just
He who must not be named.
not he who must not be named. That was what wait what
Ain't no way
we'll
you
cut
forgot
this
the
out.
name
We'll cut this
Alfire,
out.
dude.
Yeah, yes that was around the time Alfire decided to leave, and so yeah, he never finished editing this episode actually, and so we kind of lost motivation after that because he was supposed to edit the episode because he was the host and he knew almost nothing about Star Wars at the time, which would have made it so much more funny.
Anyways, if this is somehow your first episode of Chillfesters, welcome. I am the host for today, Grizzleton, and I am joined by my co-host, Daniel, like I said, otherwise known as Profire. Then we got Senko-san, or Caleb. Say hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes. And then we got
Yes.
the CJ boy himself.
Hello.
And then today we are joined by a very special guest. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
And
This is all of us. This is a old high school classmate of ours.
we can go. I don't know what order you guys want to go in, but like I was gonna ask you guys, like, how were you introduced to Star Wars initially?
I will definitely go last again.
No, you will not go
CJ,
last.
you don't have an opinion. I don't want to.
I will upend you.
Wow, shutting down your own host.
Why don't we have the guest go first?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got an answer. So I was introduced to Star Wars kind of late in my tween years. I was like 12, and it was a school event. We were going to the movie theater to go see The Force Awakens for the first time, and my mom took me to go see it. And it was funny because we were like right up front. There were no seats. It was a packed house, and we were like literally in the front row, just staring up at the screen, breaking our necks, and it was amazing. It was loud, it was bright, and it was so cool. And from then on, I just fell in love, and I've been on that crazy train ever since.
For sure.
It's a serious problem.
For all of us, yes.
Yes. All of us
Star
at
Wars is an addiction.
Yes,
one point in our lives, or is still going, at least in Sarah's case. We have all had an unhealthy addiction to Star Wars at this time, at some time in our lives.
Yep.
This
I mean,
Definitely not.
unhealthy is a strong word.
We're not gonna talk about the hundreds of hours I put in the Old Republic.
Yes,
Oh wow!
he's put in like 1,000 hours
So,
on my game.
Like literally?
Bro,
Yes.
When
Oh my
COVID hit,
gosh,
I played
Chris.
the frick out of that game when COVID hit.
Oh wow!
Oh. Okay,
Yeah,
let's see.
So, Caleb-
unhealthy is an understatement.
Yes.
Yes.
Kalabe, how did you get introduced to the Star of Wars?
So I don't know anything about Star Wars. I know about Spaceballs.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I'm
Valid.
gonna let that one
What?
slide. I'm gonna
That's
let
pretty
that one
valid.
slide.
Sorry.
Valid. Okay, CJ, how did you get introduced to Star Wars, my boy?
So, funny enough, you had a hand in that.
That's true.
Well, here's how. Let me just go way a little back. So I don't actually remember what age I got into Star Wars. All I remember is the earliest moments of liking Star Wars was watching the Clone Wars animated series on Netflix. That is the first Star Wars media I ever watched, and I watched, I think, the whole thing. And then I think it was a couple years, it was like a few years later, I got into high school and I met Grizzleton. And I forget what point of our high school year that it was, but at some point he found out that I had never watched the Star Wars movies, the OG ones. And I think I had by that point I had at least seen Force Awakens. But when he came over to my house one day, and we watched the first Star Wars movie, like A New Hope. And after that, I kind of my eyes were opened to the beauty of Star Wars. And that weekend, I watched all the other movies, like all the other movies that from the one after New Hope to all the prequels. Which, the funny thing I will say about me and the prequels is the fact that because I had seen the Clone Wars animated series, the prequels did not suck for me. The series literally made the sequels not suck.
Yes.
Honestly, like we'll probably get into this more later, but the Clone Wars definitely provided so much context for the
It
prequels.
really did!
I should
It
probably
really...
go back and watch it then.
Yes.
Oh my...
And lastly, the Dan.
So,
Yes.
so I've never seen a Star Wars movie in my life.
So I'm
One
calling out
Dude, you-
Dan 16.
Wait a minute. Wait. Back up. You haven't seen any of the Star Wars films?
No, I'm joking. No,
Oh my
I
gosh.
have.
I was
I
gonna
no.
say.
You
I've been
almost
watching
just
Star
triggered
Wars since I was 4. So
Whoa.
yes, I have. I am.
commitment.
It's A New Hope was a huge part of my childhood growing up, and Empire Strikes Back. I don't have a lot of memories of watching the originals. I mean, the first time I watched all the originals, I only watched the Phantom Menace with my parents, and that was the only of the prequels that I watched. The rest I watched with Grizzly on his channel. You can
Oh,
watch
yep.
those. And
I never
but
uploaded the Revenge of the Sith one.
yeah, you never did. But
Wait, I
um
think those
Movie
are
ever?
unlisted now, because, CJ's
Yeah.
hiding his face now.
but
Boy,
no,
you weren't supposed to say that.
he wasn't, yes. But the idea was I've seen all of the movies, the sequels. Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll get
We're
there
gonna
for
we'll
sure.
we'll get there.
Also,
We will get there.
One thing we will also get into are some interesting Star Wars movies that I don't think you have seen, Daniel.
Yeah, no, none of us here guaranteed have seen them. But
Um,
the one thing that I love about the Star Wars universe so much is just absolutely how massive it is.
mhm.
Yes,
It is so big.
Yup.
there's
it is
so
massive.
much stuff
Thousands
crammed
of
into
years
it.
of lore.
Yes.
Yes!
It is one of the most expansive fandom universes in pop culture today that is still somehow relevant
Expand.
after 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
That's part of why I like it so much, because I've always been the kind of person that appreciates lore, and
Yeah.
because of how much there is, I mean, man,
Mm-hmm.
there's
that
some real
being
nice stuff.
said, I have seen all of the movies. However, I have not watched the classics like Clone Wars and Rebels. I have not seen that.
I've seen
Okay,
Rebels, but not Clone Wars, yeah.
I really haven't seen Rebels. I've seen like over a dozen clips, enough that I could say I know the whole plot of Rebels and how it ends, but I don't know the nitty gritty. I technically I have seen a couple episodes through YouTube,
Yeah.
but it was specific ones that I was interested in just because it had Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll get into the shows here pretty soon.
Yay.
And to answer
Yes.
my own question, technically, I
Yeah,
guess,
how
'cause I
did you
never
get
answered it.
introduced into Star Wars?
Oh, this should be good.
One fine Christmas when I was a very, very small child. I was like
Twas a
6 or
night.
something. My parents got me like this giant like DVD collection of like the prequels and the original movies, and I watched the frick out of those movies. Like like I was rewatching them like all the time, like every week, and just ever since then, I have been a diehard Star Wars fan for sure.
Yes.
Um,
So cool.
And then I already brought up how during COVID I played an ungodly amount of Old Republic.
The MMO, right?
The MMO, yeah. Well, I played the original games and then I got into the MMO.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Oh no, go ahead.
so before we actually like briefly like dissect the movies and shows and stuff, like what is each of your favorite trilogy?
Oh, you have to be kidding.
The sequels.
What?
Thank
You.
you. The reactions from all of you proved that that joke was very well received.
Yeah, even I received it, and that's pretty sad.
Sarah.
It's really sad. I just had to accept the hard truth that these movies were hard to get through.
Yeah.
Except Force Awakens, that one was fine. It was
Yeah,
just
Force
Force Awakens
Awakens
was good.
is the only exception, and Rogue One are the only
yeah.
exception to
Yeah,
the
well,
newer.
Well,
Rogue
movies.
One is an
Well,
interesting one.
probably one of the best prequel movies ever.
Oh yeah, easily.
So, but your genuine favorite, Daniel. What would you
My-
say?
Genuinely
The
favorite.
sequels? No.
Yes.
You.
I would honestly probably say the prequels.
The prequels?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
prequels
same here,
are
honestly.
the.
I feel like we're gonna get a lot of interesting comments about this, but
Oh yeah, no, I would not be surprised if there are people out there who are going to be hating on us, and that makes sense because they haven't seen Clone Wars the animated series.
Yes.
Me?
How about you, Sarah?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite trilogy, I would say, is the original because of how nostalgic it is.
Definitely.
I can respect that.
Yeah, and I kind of picked out what kind of films I like too. My favorite out of the original is Return of the Jedi because Ewoks, and I just like the plot of it.
Ah,
The
Yes,
ending
Ewoks.
of Return of the Jedi makes me cry.
Oh,
yeah.
So happy
Yeah.
and so cute.
And
I
we're
could just
gonna be
watch that
talking
over and
about
over again.
Ewoks a lot more later on in this episode. Spoilers.
I know exactly
Yay.
where that's going. I know exactly where that's going to.
Don't disrespect the Ewoks.
No, but honestly, seriously, I can understand that, and I will say that from the perspective, like, in terms of like a significance purpose, while I consider the prequels like my favorite, mainly for some of the content that's in it, like, it's like mostly because I'm a big fan of the droids, and a lot of the prequels has that in it. The original trilogy, I think, is was significant in the case that it was like the kickstart of the like Star Wars as a whole, and it kind of acted as this pinnacle moment in time for all those who would eventually become Star Wars fans.
Yep.
So it holds that title to me. Especially because they're literally the movies that got me more hooked into Star Wars than before. So thought I would bring that up.
Would you say you are a prequel boy or a originals boy?
Oh, I still consider myself a prequels boy, mainly because of how much I like what is brought up in it, and also 5%. 5 to 10% because of the memes, but that doesn't mean that I don't. It does not mean I don't like the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Kalabe, what is your opinion on this matter?
Space.
You know what?
You know, you
Valid.
make a good point.
Yes,
Space.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
A war in space.
So now, like, I briefly want to bring up each Star Wars movie, and like, we don't have to like dwell too much on them. Like, I'm sure some movies will have more to say about than others, and but I kind of
I
want
know
to
Grizz has a lot to say about one movie in
Shut
particular.
up. And so I kind of want to briefly go through each Star Wars movie and just get your general consensus of the film. So.
Hmm.
Okay.
And okay, so first we have A New Hope, which came out in 1977. Kind of the catalyst for the whole series.
All
what are
that.
you guys, good movie?
Ah, it's the
It was all right. It was all right. Yeah,
It's
it was a
slow.
great beginning movie.
Oh yeah.
I would say as a
Oh, so.
standalone movie by itself, it's
I mean,
kind of mid.
For
Not gonna lie.
1977 though.
For 1977,
Okay, yeah,
yes.
for 1977, yeah, my mother remembers I'm not sure if she actually
Your
did, but I
mother.
think she did see. I don't. Actually, I was gonna make a point there, but then I don't have the evidence to support it. So carry on.
Literally, my dad, when he was a kid, went to watch this, and literally the line to watch the movie went out of the mall. Like he was
Oh my
outside
God.
the mall with the line. Insane.
Oh no.
But yeah,
You
no.
saw it when it originally came out?
Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was huge. Like I wasn't there, but I know from people who were that it was like massive in terms of it revolutionized a certain aspect of the film industry. That's for sure, because it introduced a completely different type of genre than stuff that had previously been introduced, and it continued to carry that legacy for many, many, many years.
And yeah, it definitely it is hard now that you bring it up, Daniel. It is hard to think of A New Hope as a standalone movie. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
that
its
was
entire
originally how it was
purpose-
supposed to be.
Well, originally, actually, there were supposed to be only 2 movies, and then
Oh.
they scratched the original script for the sequel when it like blew up, because like George Lucas was gonna, I forget what the name of the second movie was gonna be called, but it was gonna completely wrap up everything, and then George Lucas was just gonna be done with Star Wars. And then when A New Hope just was popping off, he was like, "Oh frick, I need to like write an actual story."
Yeah, maybe that's why the writing for Empire Strikes Back is like 10,000 times better.
Speaking of Empire Strikes Back, what are y'all's thoughts?
Okay.
Actually, before we move on to
Mhm.
Empire
Yeah.
Strikes Back, I do have a fun fact about A New Hope
Oh,
that I learned
Mm.
from a documentary. So it's from a documentary called Empire of Dreams. It's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. If you want to learn how George Lucas kind of made that journey throughout the original trilogy, highly recommend watching it. And throughout A New Hope, he has this vivid imagination, okay? Just crazy vivid. He had all sorts of ideas for these creatures and just visual stuff, but it was limited because it was 1977 and the technology wasn't that far yet.
Yep.
So, because of the limitation, he just kind of, his expectations dropped, and throughout the majority of filming, he kind of lost motivation. You could tell in his face like he was not really enjoying himself. And
Yeah.
the actor spoke up about him directing and like his style, and he would say like, yeah, it looked like he was gonna burst into tears whenever we finished a scene. And
Oh,
the
jeez.
two, Luke Skywalker and Han, Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill, would say, yeah, we try to make him laugh on set just to get him to crack a smile because we know it's not going well.
Yeah.
And then later, when technology is more advanced, he goes back and edits everything to make it a little more like how he envisioned it.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Dang.
It's really interesting. I had no idea.
I feel like
Yeah.
George Lucas is the embodiment of like Howard Stark in Iron Man when he's just like, I am
Yeah.
limited by the technology of my time.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
But like speaking of like Empire Strikes Back,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's why the writing for that movie like was through the roof.
Bro, Empire Strikes Back goes crazy. Dude, so much happens in that movie.
Dude,
Oh,
Empire
yeah.
Strikes Back just isn't a good Star Wars movie. Like it's a
Just an
good
insane
movie.
in general.
It's just a
Yeah.
good movie.
Yeah.
Can I point out one thing is the huge gap but with that movie between between how basically how that movie really began to depict the true nature of the lightsaber between but everyone who's seen A New Hope knows there how much of a stark difference there was between
Oh, yeah.
the lightsaber battle in New Hope and the lightsaber battles from in Empire Strikes Back, and so, like it was very much a big difference.
Yeah, in Empire
Huh?
Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, you can tell a huge difference in like the directing of the lightsaber fights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the choreography just in general was just
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And then we get to the prequels, which we'll talk about very
Oh
soon.
yeah! Oh gosh!
Oh,
yes.
The
But
I'll have to
yeah,
hold
Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980, 3 years after A New Hope, and I would just as a movie in general, I would say it was definitely an improvement on A New Hope. I
Yeah.
would say.
Mhm.
I definitely think like George Lucas kind of got his motivation back after he saw how well A New Hope was doing.
hmm
Mhm.
And then Return of the Jedi.
Return of the
Honestly,
Jedi.
I would
Woohoo.
say it is like the least of the best, if you catch my meaning.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like it, while it was good, it wasn't the best of the best.
Yeah, like it's a solid Star Wars film, but I would personally say it is the weakest of the original trilogy.
Because everyone here can definitely agree on what is the best Star Wars movie of all time.
We'll get there. I have that written
Yeah.
down. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get.
But
But yes.
yeah, no, Return of the Jedi. It was a fun ride. There's definitely a bit of a time jump since like Skywalker is like he has his whole like a new lightsaber and is like on his way
Yeah.
to becoming like a full blown Jedi and stuff.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if that affected just the whole aspect of the story and all and that just that jump.
But like the
Mhm.
final fight between Luke and Vader will like always be
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the most
Oh,
iconic
yeah.
lightsaber.
Man.
fights.
Yeah, that is iconic to the max.
You can just see the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
It also it ties together it's a kind of a pinnacle point for honestly both the characters. As we've learned more about who Darth Vader was and like just what his character was all about, it adds more to how iconic how important that fight was and just the energy behind it.
But yeah, Return of the Jedi, 1983. Another 3 years after Empire Strikes Back.
Dang.
Yeah, they spent like 3 years on each movie, it would seem.
Yeah.
And that's another. I feel like the special effects for the original trilogy kind of peaked in
Mhm.
Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very
could
visually
see-
pleasing.
Yeah,
Like I love the visuals and the
Definitely.
scenery.
yeah.
And random question: do you guys remember that random musical number in Return of the Jedi? It's like in the beginning. But when I saw it for the first time, I'm like, what in the heck is that? It's like in Jabba's palace, their band just kind of randomly sings the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
song right in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
What
remember
in
that.
the world?
What in the fresh heck?
No.
Yeah, no, that was a very chaotic scene.
Yes. Yes.
No, then again though, it's Jabba's palace, so what can we
Yeah.
expect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
fair.
Bro.
So that is the original trilogy.
Now,
any more thoughts from anybody? Caleb, you haven't spoken in a little bit.
yeah, no, what you doing, bruh? What y'all doing?
What you doing?
I am lurking.
Come on, no, come on,
No.
unmute. We'll be with the party.
He's just listening.
He is observing and judging us. It's okay.
That's a good character trait. I say keep going with that.
Okay.
So now
So-
we're jumping ahead. Let's see.
To how many years later?
Let's see. Let's see. 1983. So.
Yeah, it was
19, maybe the
1999.
2000s.
Yeah,
Wait,
'cause, like,
The
Okay, I
the
can't-
prequels
I can't.
came out in the 2000s?
well, only two of them did. Phantom
Oh.
Menace came out in 1999.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. What about the other two?
We'll get to
Oh, right, yeah, right. Sorry.
But yeah, let's see. So wait,
Funny.
1999. I'm
This is
definitely
gonna
not
be
using a
fun.
calculator right now.
This is where the fun
1999
begins.
minus 1983.
Bro, doing
It's 16
ow.
years. 16 years.
16 years.
Wow.
So,
So if
16
someone
years
was-
later, Phantom Menace.
Yes,
Big
and
I will say
Fan-
Phantom Menace was a very slow movie. The
I-
pacing was a little interesting.
thinking back, I can see that. There was a lot of story, but they could have probably sped up certain parts of it. So,
George
just
Lucas was
Obvious-
incredibly ambitious with the prequels, and so
oh hey,
you get just dumped with information.
yeah, no, the prequels literally just felt like, okay, here is everything.
Uh huh.
So,
Yeah, like that's like I feel like with the original trilogy, you really ease into like the world of Star Wars. Prequels, you're just thrown in head first.
yes. Yeah, and I do think if that could have started off like the bad rep that the prequels had, like if it was too into the thick of it too quickly for people and it was like, what the heck is going on? So I don't remember caring very much about that aspect. Although I do remember, at least for me, I remember it being probably my least favorite of the prequels. Not necessarily because it was a bad movie, but probably just because of because it was some of the other prequels triumphed it a little more than that one. It was good, but not the best. It was kind of like how Return of the Jedi was for the original trilogy, but for the prequel trilogy.
Definitely.
So now, don't get me wrong. There are some definitely the good parts, like the introduction and immediately removal of Darth Maul.
Yeah,
like
that
that-
lightsaber fight went crazy.
Oh yeah,
Which is
and
kind
that
of a consistent theme with the prequels. Is like
Yeah, no,
the
the
lightsaber fights are a French kiss.
they are choreographed very well and make the lightsaber live up to its name.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kind of what the whole prequel trilogy is about. Or
Yeah.
not about, but it just involves a lot of it.
Definitely.
yeah, which makes sense because it takes place in a time when it was still like. Yes, well, also, and just the fact that it was still a thing, like a big thing. It wasn't like super rare. It was like consistently practiced. There were people who were still people very experienced with it.
I think I just wanted to point out that The Phantom Menace was actually the movie I grew up watching, but I was so young, so I didn't really understand the whole plot of it, if you know what I mean. It's just a whole bunch of stuff happening all at once.
It did introduce a lot of political side too.
Yeah, that I didn't get. But
Yeah.
after rewatching it, I don't know, there's just something I enjoy about it. I don't know if it just takes me back to my childhood and that's why I like it. Like, I'll say, I put this above Revenge of the Sith.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I get Revenge of the Sith is more dramatic, but this one is just fun to watch.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah,
Visually, it's amazing.
yeah. Like I said, it's still a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, another 3 years, to 2002, we have Attack the Clones. Which
Okay, I honestly don't know if I can it's hard whether I should call that my favorite one or not. I really enjoyed it, but it's difficult to call that if I can call it my favorite when it's on par with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, there's
So-
a lot that happens in that movie. No, okay.
And
Listen,
and there's also
listen.
a massive time. There's another massive time jump, which I
Yeah,
think
probably
might
one
have
of the
also,
biggest time jumps for sure.
which I think
Yeah.
probably confused a lot of people yet again.
But one thing. Okay, listen. All right, hear me out.
Listen.
George Lucas, he's a very exceptional director, right? But I don't think he knows how to write love stories. I'm just saying. Oh,
He does not. He really doesn't.
He wrote another film involving love stories. Like a lot of it, it was animated actually.
I don't like sand. That's right, of course.
You're goofy.
It's everywhere.
But like honestly, if you just forget that the Anakin Padme stuff happened, I think there's a lot
can't.
of solid stuff that happened in that movie.
There's too much.
Too
For
much
example,
Eddie.
Django Fett.
To be fair,
He acts as a good bounty hunter figure.
yeah. To be completely fair, he does have cooler blasters,
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
but Boba's gun sounds cooler.
Huh?
Really? What?
Yeah, I'll give the movie that. They had really good sound effects, like the sonic boom thing.
Yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
Sonic Boom.
Oh yeah. The seismic
okay.
charge.
Any Star Wars fan knows that the sound of the seismic charge is the best sound effect that ever came out of Star Wars.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There has never been a sound effect that just sounds so good.
Mhm.
And unironically,
Except for the lightsaber ignition.
eh,
Okay, that one's more iconic than it is the best.
yeah.
It is the best. Though.
No.
Mhm.
Anyways, Clone Wars. Clone Wars. Attack of the Clones has my personal favorite fight scene in Star Wars. It's a little biased because Jango Fett's my favorite character, but it's
Oh, really?
the fight between Jango and Obi-Wan because it does
Ah.
something that you like never see in the movies. Because like usually whenever there's a fight involving someone with a lightsaber, it's either with another person with a lightsaber or the fight is over very quickly.
Oh
But
yeah, that's usually what happens.
the fight with Django, like it demonstrated that you don't really need the Force in order to be like, on par with a Jedi.
It
Because we
showed
literally see like one of our most iconic Jedi, Obi-Wan, get his freaking butt handed to him by a non.
a man in a tin suit using a jetpack.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, he had the jetpack, so I would say that Jango Fett had the high ground first before Obi-Wan did.
True.
Ooh! Oh!
Man, what is it with people who had the high ground prior to Obi-Wan losing limbs? What is this? Like first we had Darth
Real.
Maul, who had
Real.
the high ground who got cut in half, and then Django who had the high ground and got decapitated.
Oh my gosh. I didn't
Yes.
think about that.
Yeah, no, he literally got his head removed by Mace
Legitimately
Windu.
got his head handed to him.
And it's interesting that little part because you can see that, like, you can actually see if you watch the scene, you can actually see how his fate was kind of sealed when Windu began to charge at him. Because if you look, he tries to get away. He tries to pull the same move he pulled on Obi-Wan by flying up and then shooting his blasters. The problem is, like we see earlier, his jetpack gets kind of knocked around by that other one of the beasts in the pit, and you can see it just fails out. So when he goes to do that move, doesn't work, and he literally is like screwed. He's literally screwed at that point. So it's like if you go and look, there is it's interesting how they put all the details there to show why this man who fended off Obi-Wan Kenobi got his head taken away from him by Mace Windu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About
I
his
really-
head... Oh, go ahead.
No, you continue. I was just gonna make a pun.
Oh, okay. Saved. About...
Thank you, Sarah.
Oh no. About Jango Fett's head being chopped off,
Mhm.
when Boba Fett lifts his head to his, why didn't the head fall out of the helmet? Like, how does that work?
There's
physically?
actually an explanation for this.
Oh, I need to
literally-
hear it.
So when so like you know the scene like when he gets decapitated, like you see like Django's helmet like roll on the ground.
Mhm.
Like you can actually see the shadow of his actual head that had flung out of the helmet.
Oh!
Oh.
I need
So
to go
is
back
it-
and see that.
I actually do. I kind of want to as well because I'm very curious about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an incredibly subtle detail.
I thought the head was just stuck inside. To
Yeah,
be
that
honest.
was my previous theory before I found this out. But like,
Which that image, if that's true, that just makes that image even more disturbing.
yeah,
Because he's literally picking up a head in a helmet.
Yeah. Ew. No.
Oh.
But what happens to the head after? Like, what do they do with it?
I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if this is like actual canon or if it's legends or whatever. But like, I remember hearing that like Boba like buried him on Geonosis.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Bury
So
the
I just
head or
Well, I think he like buried. Like, I think the story went like he buried like all of Django, and then like years later he came back and like took the armor.
Hmm.
is this about with? Sorry, I lost track for a second. Is
Oh,
this
we're-
about?
We're
just,
still on the head
yeah,
subject.
yeah. We're just talking about how Django got like buried and stuff.
Ah, I see. I know what happened to Django's helmet. I mean, me and you both know what happened to his
Yeah,
helmet.
it kind of got detonated.
Yeah, no. Literally, what happened is Boba Fett
Well,
in the
Clone
Clone
Wars spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it.
Oh,
I
right.
haven't watched
Does
it.
anyone care if I spoil that detail?
Go
I
ahead.
haven't watched it.
Okay, then Dan, do you care if I spoil?
I do,
what-
yes. I do.
Okay, then I won't say it then.
So, anyways,
Oh yeah, real
Kinda
quick,
cool.
I actually did pull up the scene on my computer and watch it, and I saw that detail you were talking about. The head does fly off in the distance,
Oh my
and
Off
it
into the
goes far.
sunset.
It literally goes like
Come on.
way further than the helmet does. It's funny
Bro,
and
it
weird.
had some distance.
The momentum. Whoa.
Yo, that lightsaber sent it flying.
Oh, freaking home run, dude. So, kind of quickening the pace a little bit. Because I also want to briefly touch on the shows after we finish the movies.
Right.
On to Revenge of the Sith.
The iconic meme of the century.
Honestly,
How many memes were created from that singular movie?
Oh my gosh.
It's
honestly,
a long film.
the probably has the best opening scene to a Star Wars movie.
Yes,
Oh,
without
yeah.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Like that space
You're-
battle over Coruscant went crazy.
I would point out. I want to actually bring that up later when we get into the shows because and I'll tell you why because there is a piece of media of Star Wars media that actually ties into that.
Yeah, but I feel like it goes without saying. Like Revenge of the Sith is an incredibly well done movie.
Oh yeah, they went all out with the effects. They went all out with the story. It was the climax of it was like the climax of that era, and they executed it right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, as right as they could for that time.
and Revenge of the Sith is the only prequel movie that I am older than, because it came out in 2005.
Oh.
Oh hey, that means I'm older than it too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I'm pretty sure everybody here was born prior to 2000. I hope everyone here was born before 2005.
Does this podcast have a rating yet? I don't.
Oh,
No idea.
I mean, some of our older episodes the maybe need to be.
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
higher.
Like that one, yeah.
But, let's see. Then
So,
there was a what?
are you continuing on that?
I was going on to the next movie. If are,
Oh,
is
I
there
was-
more to say.
I mean, we could talk about the fact about some of the key moments. I just
Well, it's
committed
just because,
English
like,
crimes
Moments.
against
No,
humanity.
I'm trying to like watch the time and also like
Oh,
keep the
right,
pace
right,
with
right,
War
the
right.
crime.
episode.
Literally, the entirety of Clone Wars is just war crime funny moments.
No, literally.
Yeah,
If I had $1 for every time Anakin committed a war crime in that show, I would be rich.
Oh, there's so many war crimes that people
my
committed.
gosh.
If there's videos about all the war crimes that some of the
Specific,
people
but
are-
Anakin did like the vast majority.
Yeah, no, because he literally did things that no Jedi should have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of, in 2008, there was before the show there was a Clone Wars movie. It was in the same animated style. We don't really need to touch on it too much, but it was an
Really?
important movie.
I don't
'Cause
remember
it,
that one.
It shows like how like Anakin and Ahsoka met and all that.
Oh right, yeah, it takes place essentially at the begin. It's supposed to take place essentially at the beginning of the Clone Wars animated series from.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Fun fact: the movie was actually supposed to be like the first like 4 episodes, but then they just turned it into a movie instead. They kick off the show.
Yes.
But yeah, and then we're gonna fast forward a few more years to 2015, when the
Ah,
Force
yes!
Awakens came out.
Oh.
The one good.
It was
sequel movie.
2015. By the way.
That's what I said.
You said 2014.
I said.
He said
15.
15.
I heard 15.
Okay, well I heard 14.
What do you
Okay.
think this is? A Lego movie? Get out of here.
I mean,
Oh,
the Lego movie was a pretty fire movie though.
Indeed.
We'll talk about that in a future podcast.
But yeah, the Force Awakens, it was a solid movie. There was a lot to like about it. It set up all of the characters. Like all of the sequel characters like had so much potential set up in this movie.
keyword had.
Yes,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Or Finn.
Oh, poor Finn.
He
Oh,
had so many plot lines
Thrown
that they could have
away.
taken, and yet they just had him there screaming Ray the next 2 movies.
Yeah.
they wait. Okay, I guess they probably did waste a character with that.
Oh, like ex-Stormtrooper maybe has the Force.
Yeah, no, that would have been an amazing thing to build off of.
He
Like, they
should
could've
have been
done-
the Jedi.
He should have been the Jedi.
Oh, that would have made the movies so good. It honestly could have made them better. It could have made them better because force-sensitive
Clone.
force-sensitive stormtroopers most likely were a thing. Like I'm 90% sure that that they probably did exist.
Well, yeah,
It's
I'm
just
sure
that we
there's
don't.
been like a random Stormtrooper here and there that had a little bit of Force going on.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just that the Empire then took them and you know
And never to be seen again. Yeah.
exactly.
Now, one thing I would like to point out, up until this point, there was always at least a 3-year gap between each movie. But ever since Force Awakens, there's only been 1 year between.
Oh.
They were releasing a movie every year. So,
Every year?
Yeah. And because Force Awakens came out in 2015, and then the following year we have Rogue One, and then Last Jedi, and then Solo, and then Rise of Skywalker. So like they did like the one-off movies like in between the trilogy movies, which is interesting. Speaking of Rogue One, very good prequel movie for sure.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Very good movie.
Yes.
It was very interesting.
It was pretty
like, setting up this cast and then like, spoiler alert, just delete everyone.
Yep.
No survivors.
I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm just gonna make this one comment. I did not realize how many the number of significant characters that were actually in that movie until like years later. Bruh, I didn't realize that Saw Gerrera was Saw Gerrera in that movie. Bruh, it took me a couple years later to realize, oh, he was in that movie.
Yeah, for
Oh,
context.
that happened to him.
For context, Saw Gerrera was actually introduced in the Clone Wars, and they brought him back in Rogue One.
I saw
Yeah,
him in
and-
Rebels. Was he in
Yeah,
Rebels?
Yeah,
he
he
was
was in
he was in
Rebels, too.
he was in Rebels.
Yeah.
He was in Bad Batch. He was in Dude, it wasn't. I think it wasn't until I started seeing
Since
that
when was
he
he in
appeared.
Bad Batch? Wait a minute.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
I saw him.
he was in Bad Batch.
actually.
Oh wait,
He was in the
mentioned
beginning of
in
Bad-
Batch. That's right.
No, he was in Bad Batch.
Oh,
I
wait,
just
he
saw.
was?
Yeah, I remember. There's
Yeah, he
one
was-
involving him.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
no, he was.
Because the reason why I didn't know before is because he looked very different,
Very different.
when he was introduced, And so it wasn't until I saw a clip from Rebels that I pieced it together that that was him in Rogue One. Otherwise, I had no idea who that guy was. I had no idea. So just wanted to point that out.
Following year, 2017, Ryan Johnson. Listen, he knows how to make a murder mystery movie, but get this man away from Star Wars. 2017.
Bro, say all you want about it, bro. The hyperspace scene was epic.
Okay, it was incredibly not accurate to how Star Wars physics work, but it was still cool.
Okay, we're going that detailed. Okay.
Yes,
Nerd.
we're going
It was a cool scene. It was visually pleasing.
Nerds.
I'm glad they killed off that useless character. Okay.
Yes. She was so annoying, dude.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh.
She annoyed me so much the entire movie.
Who hired this
yeah.
woman to be a part of the
I forgot
rebellion?
about her, actually.
Bro, I don't even remember her name. I don't care that much.
Honestly,
Laura
I didn't
Dern.
really. Laura Dern, huh?
Oh,
yeah.
not the actress's name.
Oh,
I know.
wait.
Joke.
I actually don't really think I paid much attention with that. I watched the sequels when I wasn't very into Star Wars. So honestly, all three of those movies, I really did not give as much of a flying frick as I could have.
But the thing that okay, so there's two things wrong with this movie. The first thing is that Luke Skywalker is not Luke Skywalker. Like
Okay,
even
that
Mark Hamill talked about how he was not how Luke Skywalker would act in these scenarios.
Yeah, no,
Like,
what
yeah,
the
he
crap
goes
was
from
Luke
being
doing
like,
in
yeah,
that movie?
this murderous tyrant Darth Vader can be turned back to the light. Oh, my grandson is having, or not my grandson, my his nephew. Yeah, oh yeah, my nephew is having some slight dark side thoughts. Time for murder.
Yeah, no, what is
okay,
he actually doing?
Believe it or not, if you look at it from a certain point of view, you can actually see why that would
Don't
make
give me
sense.
this Obi-Wan certain point of view nonsense.
Dude, no, for real though, because number one, Luke is now more older and experienced now.
Mm-hmm.
When he did that with Darth Vader, he was younger. And so, he didn't have as much experience. Let's just say he had been. How many years had passed in galactic years from A New Hope to Return?
Oh, it was like a
20 or 30.
20.
No, I think it was probably more like 30 or 40. It was a long time, like a long time.
So the three movies span like about 30, 40 years ish, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
put it that way. Yeah.
Okay, so we know for a fact that Force Awakens takes place 30 years right after Revenge, or not Revenge, after Return of the Jedi. So he has now he's older and he's more experienced. These are his first batch of students that he's raised. He's seen how the dark side and how the light side has balanced together, but also he saw the vision too, as if it was going to happen too.
Okay, that can be justified.
He saw the vision as it was going to happen.
He probably
so it was basically a prophecy. It's not something that he couldn't stop.
I think we could put it when you put it that way, we can say that he saw that vision and it caused him to be a little less rational than he probably would have been normally.
Yes, because the dream was a literal prophecy.
Yeah, no, there are other media that do use that same concept too. And it does justify when a character acts that far out of line.
So that is the only reason I give just a little bit more lenience to Luke Skywalker, at least in that term.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But, even Mark Hamilton himself did say that Luke Skywalker was not acting like Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was out of line.
Yeah. And I will say this, I think The Rise of Skywalker kind of made up for it with that Luke Skywalker
With the
scene.
Luke Skywalker, yeah.
I think they did him okay in that film.
But they failed with everything else.
Yeah.
But So yeah, that was the first thing that's wrong with Last Jedi is that, or at least in my opinion, is that Luke Skywalker wasn't himself. But the other thing, okay, aside from Luke Skywalker dying, and I guess Snoke dying, what really happened in that movie? Like, I feel
Really?
like
Not much.
honestly,
Leia died but didn't die.
like I honestly feel like you could show somebody Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi. I mean, Rise of Skywalker, and the only thing they would be wondering is like, what happened to Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
I can kind of see that there's not much plot relevance in that movie. I mean,
Like literally
really?
summed up, it's just a chase scene.
Yeah, no, the entire movie is a chase movie.
It's just a chase scene, and like, and
Filler.
then there was like this subplot where friggin' Finn and Rose go to like this planet and accomplish literally nothing, even though it takes like a third of the movie.
Didn't they also like fall? Wasn't there like a weird love interest between those
Yes,
two
there
as well?
was at
Which
one
made
point.
and
That
didn't
was
they?
That
weird.
made no sense.
Never touched
I-
on again, too.
Yeah,
And
never
here,
touched on it.
well, no, I thought that the other character died.
No,
No, Rose lived.
Rose is in Rise of Skywalker.
Really? Oh,
She didn't have much
Someone
of a plot in
died.
the third film.
Luke
I
either.
thought-
died.
Luke died.
I know Luke died.
Snoke died.
Okay,
Snoke died.
Snoke died.
Snoke's death was hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so
Okay,
funny.
Snoke kind of just got Darth Mauled.
Snoke got incredibly nerfed
Yeah.
in Last Jedi.
How happens to you return?
Like what? Okay, why
They
were
made
his
him
friggin-
seem so powerful in
Yeah.
In
Force Awakens.
Mhm.
He seemed like a new emperor type of figure.
I thought
Oh,
he was
yeah.
the next Palpatine. Like, oh,
That's
yeah.
what they see. That's what they probably should have done in a way because it would have made his death much more significant
Yeah.
Mhm.
instead of just
No.
get stab.
Gone.
Now that whole scene too, the more you break down that fight scene, the less it makes sense.
Yeah,
too.
no.
Yeah, Okay,
The
how-
choreography on that was abominable. Like it was a visually pleasing fight between like Rey and
Yeah, no,
Kylo
it was
versus
a
the guard.
visually pleasing
But it
fight. Yeah.
was not.
Yeah.
Like literally one kick from Rey knocked like 3 guys down.
yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. What did you
Also,
do? Force kick?
also the more that you watch, you actually see like the CGI weapons going through each other too.
Yeah.
Wait, the weapons were CGI? Oh no, no, no!
Mm.
Yeah, the weapons were literally no clipping through
That
each
is
other.
so stupid,
Wow.
and I don't even. It's funny because I didn't even know that when I watched them. I didn't even notice
Yeah.
that.
No,
I'm
the weapons were no clipping through each other. I noticed that immediately.
Yeah.
A lot of
I
my-
just thought that was a plot hole.
Honestly, a lot of my reaction towards all this information is mostly just opinionated because I actually haven't. Like I said before, when I watched the movies, I didn't pay attention to any of this because I wasn't a big Star Wars guy at that time. So a lot of this is kind of just me taking in what I probably would or wouldn't have noticed and assessing it myself. So
Mhm.
just thought I'd mention that so I don't sound like I'm saying nonsensical crap.
Rise of
We
Skywalker.
kind of all are, though. At
Rise
least
of
I am.
Skywalker
No, we're not
now.
there yet. There's one more to talk about.
Oh, really?
Oh.
What else is there?
2018, Solo, the most
Oh.
underrated Star Wars movie of all time.
Solo is so good.
Bro,
Solo is so
Oh.
good.
okay.
I think Solo
Solo
wasn't.
got ruined by The Last Jedi because Last Jedi was so bad. People were just going into this movie expecting it to be bad, and a lot of people just didn't even go and see it in the first place. So the ratings were terrible. But it's
Yeah.
such a good movie.
Solo
I-
is so good.
I think Solo's pretty alright. Pretty alright
okay,
as a movie.
like, I feel like if you were going to show your friend who has never seen a Star Wars movie, just a Star Wars movie to show them what this universe is like, Solo is such a great pick because it's such a simple movie. Like there's always only one thing happening, but you're still just kind of getting the like Star Wars feel of it. You know? What I
Uh-huh.
mean? It's just a simple heist movie.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's not too big, not too small.
It
It's
sets
right.
up
It's like a
the-
perfect. It's a perfectly nice. It's a nice little scene. Yeah, I think that's how it, like, for me, I remember it not being really anything huge. I just remember it being a pretty decent Star Wars movie and enjoying it.
And Han
Yeah.
and Lando's chemistry in that movie was beautiful.
Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
is a little funny. You see how that whole, all those shenanigans.
Yup. So yeah, it was a far better movie than what it got. But anyways,
So now,
2019.
Oh boy.
right before coronavirus.
This was the
somehow-
movie that caused the pandemic.
You're for real, for real.
This was the
Not
movie that
wrong.
caused the pandemic.
Oh,
I
oh.
remember the last recording, Sarah. You were defending this movie with your life.
Yeah, I've just given up at this point. There's no saving it. I'm sorry.
There is no saving this
I'll
movie.
give it the wardrobe. That was okay, and the
Okay.
effects were good.
Okay.
Yeah, no, with
The-
the
no, the
sequels,
effects
like,
were
the
alright,
visual
yeah.
effects. Honestly, a lot of the acting, the costumes, the score, you know, the
aliens.
sets, all of that, top tier. It's just the script was all over the freaking.
Yeah, no, the writing was what ruined the movie.
Yeah.
The acting
Yeah.
was on point. The costumes were on point.
No.
It felt like a Star Wars universe.
Now here's the thing
But-
about Rise of Skywalker. They had so many good ideas for this movie, and they chose all of the bad ones.
Yes.
Like, there was gonna be this whole scene. So like that scene where Kylo was in a forest and like he gets the Wayfinder at
Uh-huh.
the
Right.
beginning. That
But
they
it
had
was
like
that
a full.
Wayfinder.
They had like this whole scene planned. Like, did you all know that planet that he's on was Mustafar?
Yeah, you told me that, and I was actually
Mustafar has trees?
dumbfounded. Okay, here, can
Okay,
I actually
there's
wait? Hold
there is
on, wait,
context.
please let me explain
Yeah, no,
how
I'll
that
give
is
this
true.
one to you, CJ.
Okay, let me explain the reason why Mustafar looks like that and not like how it normally is, the lava planet, is simply because of one game. A game called Vader Immortal 1, 2, and 3. It's on the VR.
right now, actually.
So, I have played through all three of the games, and let me just give you a quick rundown of it. In the game, there's this, like, big ol', like, light, I forget if it's, like, a life crystal, just this big ol' life source thing that many, many years before Mustafar became a barren wasteland was created by this, like, it was this kind of, like, this dude. This dude decided, alright, let's take all the life force and put it into this one rock. And then it caused a whole bunch of conflict, and that conflict basically led to the planet becoming a volcanic wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens at the end of the third game is the protagonist, who ends up fighting Vader, literally destroys that rock, and it allows for the life of the planet to go back into the planet. And so the reason why it looks like that is because it's that scene on Mustafar takes place after the game, and so the planet's had some time to regenerate, to become a habitable planet again, because now it has its life force.
I see.
So I could have explained that way better. I'm just doing it the best I can. I'm sure that once you finish playing the games, you could probably give a better explanation than I did.
They literally had a whole. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, I was just finishing.
They literally had like this whole scene planned where like Kylo goes to Vader's castle and like meets this like weird alien guy, and then there's like this whole story of how he gets the Wayfinder, and I'm sure they like kind of explain what the Wayfinder was and stuff, and they just kind of removed like 90% of the scene.
They threw it in the garbage.
Wayfinder literally just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what the heck?
It was a perfect time to explain what this thing is, all of that. It would have been a great way to introduce how Palpatine was still alive, right?
Yeah, Palpatine
Okay,
came out of nowhere.
Okay, can I bring up the way that they brought Palpatine back actually is actual bull trash.
This
You know,
is
the
where-
thing-
This
things
is where
are-
it gets worse. They literally, in the
Wait.
novelization for the movie, they fully explain how Palpatine is alive, and yet in the movie they just completely skip that part.
Well, bro, even in the novelization, the novel explains how he comes back, and even I've seen that in a video by I think Icart's Ladder or something. But in the video, it's still stupid. The way that he comes back, it doesn't make sense because here's the thing. The way that the Force works and the
That's
way
not
that
how
like
the
souls
Force
work.
works.
Yeah, literally. It literally shouldn't work that way. It never worked in any of the other movies. And yet all of a sudden now Palpatine can just magically transfer his soul and his Force sensitivity into this bag of flesh and call himself Palpatine again. It's like that doesn't make sense. That isn't how it works. That would be a completely different person.
That does happen in Legends. So.
It would be a completely different person. Shouldn't have recollection of that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It literally does not make sense. Even when they explained it, it just is stupid.
I mean, I will say like that whole thing of like somebody like using the Force to like take over another body, like that happens quite a bit in Legends, but.
Yeah, okay, if we get into Legends, yeah, it happens a lot. It's just
they needed to explain a lot more than they did. Like, literally, somehow Palpatine returned is probably one of the worst written lines in a film, period.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, how? Because here's the thing. How the flying frick did they know that Palpatine was back when he's over on some random planet in the middle of nowhere?
See, that's the thing.
Spy,
that was also explained, but not in the movie. Now, hear me out. That was.
What about the whole subplot with Anakin too?
Oh yeah, no, they got Hayden Christensen on set. They filmed several scenes with him that were just cut from the movie.
Wait, what was he supposed to be doing?
He was going to be a Force ghost that was like it split. Like he was like he was switching between an Anakin Force ghost and a Vader Force ghost.
That would have been awesome.
Looked so cool.
Literally would have been awesome. Oh my god!
Like, there was a scene where like Kylo goes to Coruscant and he goes to the Sith temple, which canonically exists underneath the Jedi temple, and like he finds Anakin there.
That would have literally been amazing to see.
That would have honestly, that probably could have saved the movie if they did that.
It probably could have helped the movie so much.
And now we're gonna come to the last thing that just.
The last part of it.
The last line in the movie.
Oh no!
This motherfucker, bro,
had the
audacity to just look over. Oh, hey, there's some Skywalker. I'm freaking a Skywalker now. What? Bro, how do you?
You are a Palpatine.
Just because
you are not a Skywalker.
Okay.
Palpatine.
Like the logic here is that she was trained by a Skywalker, thus she's a Skywalker now. First of all, she wasn't even trained by a Skywalker, because she went there to get trained by him, and he just freaking denies her. And then, I guess Leia provided, like, some sort of training course for her or whatever, but that doesn't really count.
It ended within a few days!
And, like, by that logic, freaking Ahsoka should be, like, Ahsoka Skywalker, right? But
no, Ahsoka could be a Skywalker!
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Ahsoka could be a Skywalker! Actually, I was about to say Leia, but Leia is a Skywalker.
No, she literally is a Skywalker. But it literally makes no sense whatsoever. If anybody had the right to hold the Skywalker name, it's Kylo.
Exactly. Because Kylo is literally a descendant of a Skywalker.
Kylo should have lived and held that mantle of Skywalker.
Now,
otherwise, it literally.
Speaking of, this brings me back to Palpatine's death. Like Palpatine, like how does this make sense? Like
I laughed when he died. It was goofy.
Explains that if Rey kills him, then he gets to possess her body, and then Rey goes and kills him, and nothing happens.
Wait a minute, that's so. Yeah, look, that's what I'm saying.
Like, it's like so much more sense if Kylo sacrificed himself to kill Palpatine in the same style that Anakin killed Palpatine, bringing everything full circle. Like, would that not have made infinitely more sense?
Oh, that probably would have helped the story so much.
I actually watched the Hishi. On Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, no.
And there is actually, they said something that I actually very much agree with.
Yeah.
And it potentially actually could have saved both Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and that was that they should have revealed that Palpatine was alive at the end of Last Jedi, so it wouldn't have just
Yeah.
felt like they
And the
introduced
reason-
it out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
no, that would have been amazing.
You want
That
to know
would've
why
worked.
they didn't do that? They didn't do that for two reasons. The first reason is Ryan Johnson and J.J. Abrams both had their own idea of what they wanted to do with the sequels, and so they did not work together to fit their storylines together at all. Second, Palpatine being in Rise of Skywalker was a last-minute decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what. See, and that adds to it. Like, they probably could have refined his return so much better had it been an original part of the story. It wasn't original.
That's the funny
it was,
part. There was never an original part of the story because they made it up as they went along.
But
and the fact they had a script planned for the sequel.
Okay.
And
Oh, yeah,
That's
they
the
did!
cherry on top. That is the
Fired,
cherry
yeah.
on top.
They
When
did!
George Lucas sold Disney to Disney, he wrote a full script for 3 movies that take place after Return of the Jedi. He gave Disney 3 fully written scripts, and they just didn't use them.
Wow.
I want to bet you I would bet you money that it talks about the Yuzon Vong and at least one of those.
Most likely.
But yeah,
that summarizes Rise of Skywalker. I kind of wanted to talk about the shows a little bit, but we're kind of gonna have to speed run it a little bit because we're running low on time. So like, I'm just gonna say a show. We'll like briefly say a couple things, and then we'll move on.
We spent most of our time
should not
talking
be
about
brief.
Rise of Skywalker.
okay.
Okay,
Can
And
we
we're gonna
start
have
one?
to make it brief.
Yeah, we'll make it brief. But yeah, the first one, Clone Wars, 2008 to 2020.
Wait, whoa, 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 hold
Oh,
on.
no.
You skipped. Back in 2003, there was another Clone Wars thing, and that's what I was going to talk about
Not
earlier. I will shut you into.
It's technically not canon.
It's not.
No, how is it not canon? It literally
Legends.
talks about the battle. No, it talks about the battle, but literally that takes place at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. It talks about the Battle of Coruscant. It literally
It's actually
shows.
Legends.
It literally shows how General Grievous got his cop and how he abducted the Chancellor. How is it not canon?
Disney decanonized it. If you have a poor
Oh!
outlook on the prequels, just go and watch Clone Wars. It makes it so much
Yeah,
better.
yeah, no. Okay, I will say it does have a lot of politics, but the politics are worth it. My sisters
Oh yeah.
My sisters could not watch. Like, they tried it, they could not watch it, but that's just because my sisters are not into that stuff. Me, on the other hand, I sat through it. I didn't care. I understand all of it, and I was younger than I was 13 maybe.
And one other thing I wanted to mention before we move on, like Clone Wars, the relationship between Anakin and Padme is infinitely more realistic.
Oh yeah, it is. It totally is.
Bro, that's one of the funniest scenes to me in that show. Like there was this this guy that was hitting on Padme, and then Anakin goes and beats the ever-loving frick out of him. It's the
Oh, yeah, he does.
crap. Like
He literally just does that.
But
Oh yeah, there's also a point where there's a holdup where they have to kill a terrorist who's has a ship rigged to blow, and if they don't, and they can either kill him and save the ship, or they can do something else, and it'll probably end them demise. And Anakin literally just comes in, kills the guy, and is like, "What? He was gonna blow up the ship." He literally just pulls an absolute war crime moment.
all right, next show, Rebels, 2014 to 2017. I
Never
haven't
wa-
watched it through it fully, but from what I've seen, it's really good.
It has.
Interesting, yeah.
I think it's good in the thing that I know a lot about Rebels is what the characters that they brought into the show, and I'm happy about it because a lot of the characters they brought in, it kind of it shows what those characters did after the Clone Wars and after the prequel. It literally there's, for example, characters like Captain Rex. He literally shows up in there, and along with I think Commander Wolfie, and I think actually isn't Gregor in it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes an appearance again. So all three of those guys show up. It shows like what they did with their lives.
Yeah.
I won't say any more of what happens, but they actually do end up playing some significant roles in it, along with some of the other characters that apparently were from the Clone Wars and brought up, like Saw Gerrera.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is true. Moving
I really
on.
liked
Oh,
Ahsoka.
yeah, Ahsoka was great in that show.
Yeah.
yeah, they did good with her character, especially the fight between her and Vader. Oh my god. Okay, I'm not calling it the best fight ever, but it was
a really good one.
It hit hard. Yes.
Can
I bring
on to the?
Wait, can I bring up one more?
Okay, what?
Okay, one last detail. Rebels has the skinniest lightsabers in the history of Star Wars.
Yes.
The reason
Yeah.
they did that is they wanted it to look like Ralph McQuarrie's original concept art for the original trilogy, where the lightsabers were really thin.
Cool. That's
Ah.
really sweet.
I like the thick lightsabers
That's
the
fair.
most.
Anyways,
Saber.
Resistance 2018 to 2019. I've never seen it. I assume none of you guys have ever seen it.
I have
I
actually
wasn't
never seen it either.
interested, no. I only like the fact that Poe was in it for a little bit, but that was it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then the show that rocked the nation, Mandalorian 2019 through 2021.
Oh,
Baby Yoda.
Baby Grogu. Yes.
He
It's still
brought the
going.
world together.
The child.
He made up for the rise of Skywalker and the
Yes.
division and damage it did. He
The
definitely came and
Mandalorian
repaired it.
single-handedly saved Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
oh
Yes.
yeah, it 100% did. It literally. Okay. Wait a minute. I forgot.
Book
I
of
don't think
Boba
everyone.
Fett 2021.
Okay, who here hasn't seen it? Who
I
here
haven't
hasn't seen
seen
it
it.
full way through?
I've
Well,
seen
Daniel
it.
hasn't seen Mandalorian, so
You actual troll!
Yes, I know. I still haven't seen Iron Man
now I
2.
can't-
though.
Bruh, now I can't talk about one of my favorite parts from it. Ah!
but it is a really good show. I
It
mean,
introduced-
it's okay. Actually, like
Bruh,
it's kind
Bruh,
of scattered plot lines, but it's pretty well done.
Okay.
I loved the final battle. That was
Yes!
beautiful.
Yes, that was
Bruh,
insane.
the final battle literally introduces one of the literally most bad butt droids in the Star Wars universe. And
Speaking of bad, the Bad Batch 2021 through 2022.
Nice
Bad Batch.
segue.
Okay, Bad Batch. I think was an Bad
Very
Batch was.
good.
Yeah, that was actually really good. Okay, Bad Batch was interesting. It had an interesting take on what the clone, what happened to the clones immediately after Order 66.
Yep.
It
Uh-huh.
had an interesting take on that.
And speaking of Order 66, Kenobi.
For Kenobi, Visions 2021.
Oh, God.
Star Wars but anime. Anyways, Kenobi 2022.
It was good, and then it was meh, and then it was great.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I liked it. I just
Yeah.
love seeing
Yeah.
Obi-Wan again.
Obi-Wan's probably
2022.
Andor.
What?
I still have to watch Andor.
Andor
I haven't.
was
I've only seen up to the heist that they do, and then everything after the heist I couldn't see because I watched those episodes while house sitting.
Andor,
now I don't
to
have
me,
it.
is the most realistic feeling Star Wars that I feel like has been released.
It literally.
They literally had the first swear.
That
In
is
it.
true. That is true.
Oh,
Well,
it also.
I mean,
it also had the first.
There's some
It
light
also.
swearing.
It also had the first piss.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I also.
Oh, yeah.
There was also another very interesting scene that happened near the beginning as well. A very interesting scene.
Lastly, we have Tales of the Jedi 2022.
I haven't seen it, and I am
Oh, that
unhappy
was
that I haven't seen it.
good.
I want to see it.
I love
I
it.
want to. I
I
intend to
like it.
watch it next.
I didn't
time
hear
get to
much
see it.
about that, to be honest.
I
It's
saw.
really short.
Oh,
Just one thing, Baby Ahsoka is probably cuter than Baby Yoda, I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly.
Oh, that's a
honestly,
He
bold
is the
claim.
cutest thing ever.
This is true.
See that's the one Star Wars media I haven't watched because as of right now I don't have Disney Plus anymore, and I haven't had Disney Plus for a while because I was using my parents' account and they don't have it anymore.
Al.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
before we end this episode, I did say we're gonna talk about Ewoks. Have any? Okay, I know a couple of you have, but have any of you heard of the Ewok movies?
I've heard of them, never
Yes.
seen them.
Bro,
I know they're like
1984.
animated, right?
No, I think there was a animated thing, but in 1984 and 1985, there were 2 live action Ewok movies,
What?
and
No way.
they were apparently the most just strange Star Wars movies you've ever seen. Like,
Okay, so
apparently,
there's
like,
We
one
gotta
of them
watch
on
them
Disney
sometime.
Plus.
they set up like this cast of characters in the first one, and then they killed them all off immediately in the second one.
Oh yeah, they're both here. Wow.
Yeah.
They're both on Disney Plus.
Yeah, there's like Caravan of Courage and then the Battle for Endor.
Did
Yeah.
you watch him, Grizz?
No, I want to at some point, but yeah,
I'll
We
put it
should-
on my
we should
bucket
all
list
get
for
together.
this year.
those exist. So yeah,
Speaking of Star Wars, sort of canon, but not really. Has anyone here seen the holiday special?
I have I saw
I heard
the animated part.
I've
2D
seen a lot of-
animated part.
that's something I've seen a lot of like bits and clips from certain YouTubers like Eichhart's Ladder and Meta Nerds.
Bro, the holiday special is an acid trip and a half. Like, I've seen
What are-
clips throughout it, and then I watched the whole animated segment. The animated segment was actually pretty interesting because it's actually how
I
Boba Fett
couldn't
gets
get through half
introduced
of it.
to the
Yeah,
Star
it
Wars
literally is
universe.
how he. Yeah, no, that's his first appearance.
Caleb, any thoughts you would like to add?
Yeah, no, you haven't
are you,
spoken
Caleb?
almost this entire time. I think he left.
I think he died.
Oh, no.
I think he fell
Caleb.
asleep.
No, I'm still here.
Final thoughts. Star Wars is good.
Star Wars is a very interesting genre, and
Very
it forever will. It will always be it will always be unique. It's good in the fact that it mixes sci-fi and fantasy and action and tragedy and all in between. It's a perfect little genre that most other shows have not been able to. Most other media has not been able to really recreate. Also, I will say this now: they need to be careful, or they will overuse Darth Vader. They're getting to the point where they're about to overuse Darth Vader, and if they do, then it is going to be very sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Although I'm excited to see him in the Ahsoka show, though.
Star Wars it's literally like a giant bowl of salad.
Honestly, yeah.
I like that.
That is actually a really good analogy.
Hmm.
But anyways, it is that time to wrap.
It
up
is
the
that
episode.
time to wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who has listened to this podcast. Let your friends know so we can make more. And thank you, Sarah, for being a part of this episode for the second time, technically.
Thank you for having me, and this recording went better than the last time.
Definitely,
Yes,
It's funny because I
definitely.
wasn't there. Neither me or Caleb were there.
Yeah.
that's true. Well, thank
This
you
is
all
very enjoyable.
for listening. This has been a very fun episode. And it's a lot more organized than the original recording, because before we just had Alfire who didn't know anything about Star Wars, just going through it. And then
He
this
hosted it
time-
too, right?
Yeah, no.
Ooh.
And then this time, I wrote out a full outline for this, so.
Don't forget, as previously mentioned, please use HelloFresh. Use code NewYear23 for 20% off.
We are
I
not
wish.
sponsored.
I wish, dude.
We are not
I got
sponsored.
excited.
Hey, but
Um, we
can
are
you can
eligible.
support us.
We are
And-
eligible for
And you can
Sponsorships.
support us by subscribing, whether it be on Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're listening to this.
How do you
from.
subscribe on Spotify?
That is a great
Follow.
question.
CJ, do you even have Spotify?
I don't.
He doesn't have
Get
Spotify.
this
Do you
man
have
here.
Spotify Premium?
Bruh.
How do you listen to the podcast then, CJ?
YouTube.
He doesn't.
He
It's on
doesn't.
YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
No way. Cool.
But yeah, we'll be here. Probably. I assume we'll record next week, and then. Plot twist: we didn't record the next week. We haven't recorded in 6 months. And
Don't forget to check out each of our channels. Grizzleton.
Get your goofy phone notification out of here.
My phone
Thank
won't
you all
stop
for
going up!
listening. Y'all can frick off and do whatever you were doing before this now. Goodbye. Get out of my recording. Go.
Get the